and things that are hard and difficult that might not have much of any comfort in the beginning. They're uncomfortable. That is where nutrition, strength, self-sufficiency, liberation might be hiding, all in plain sight.
We are back with another daily reflection on the Daily Vedantic, and today's reflection, I recorded it while we were traveling. So all you lucky listeners will get to listen to the voice note on this episode. Let's get into it.
We are back, baby, with another reflection on the Daily Vedantic. And today we're reflecting on the difference between the good and the pleasant. I was watching a TV show maybe a year ago, and I heard this character, this hilarious character, say to the other character when talking about having a dessert. And this character was talking about how they're choosing not to have that dessert. And the guy goes, 1 second on the lips, lifetime on the hips. What a great philosophical phrase. 1 second on the lips, and a lifetime on the hips. This is the difference between the good and the pleasant. I want to, right off the bat, I want to make sure that I fully articulate that this philosophy is all about the middle path, that asceticism or extreme austerity where you don't have anything pleasant, that is not the path of Vedanta. In fact, we need things that are pleasant. Living in a state of constant displeasure and devoid of any pleasantness, that will distract us from our spiritual progression. But there is a distinction from the pleasant and the good. The good is that which is good, nourishing for us in the long term. The pleasant is, well, that which is nice, that hits our senses in a delectable way in the short term. But pleasantries are not nourishing. A dessert is not nutritious. And by all means, have dessert. And Swami loves eating dark chocolate with the rest of, well, I shouldn't say loves, he does it. And maybe it's just a gift for the rest of the retinue of people around him, because everybody enjoys eating. People will bring him dark chocolates from all over, and people have them. And now it's really should be vegan chocolate for him to be able to partake, because he about 10 years ago, an American convinced him to go vegan from culturally, it's much more of a vegetarian diet or a full-on meat eating diet, and he's been vegetarian his whole life. 10 years ago, an American convinced him to be vegan. Shout out to Eric here in LA, who was the one that I think convinced him. But in this dichotomy between the good and the pleasant, that is usually not thought of as a dichotomy. You usually don't think of the good versus the pleasant. In fact, our culture is built around making us think that the pleasant is synonymous with the good. That dessert, that fast food, that choice to splurge and treat yourself, that's good. And this philosophy, while it says there's nothing wrong with pleasantries here and there, with maybe dessert right after each dinner, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. There is a distinction between the pleasant and the good. The cultivation of the intellect, the capacity to see the end in the beginning, over the mind that chases after the pleasant. These two inner equipments that this philosophy harps on over and over again. These two inner equipments that we have, that anyone coming across this philosophy is typically hearing this for the first time, that you have a mind that is all about feelings, emotions, preferences, likes, dislikes, flowy stuff, and you have the intellect, this capacity to discern, distinguish right from wrong, distinguish what is good, what is going to generate energy for the long term within us, what will dissipate energy, even if so delicious and pleasant in the beginning. That capacity, that other inner equipment besides the mind, the intellect, is meant to guide the mind, to help us always keep a focus on the good versus just enthralled by the pleasant. What happens if we lose sight of the good versus the pleasant, if we're only chasing the pleasant? Well, that's how you end up with diabetes. That's how you end up with poor health, a system breaking down. That's how you end up with a career filled with shortcuts and constantly burning networks left and right, having to find new people, new coworkers every year, instead of building 10 years in, 15 years in, stronger, even more resolute networks, relationships, bonds with other high achievers, burning through them all to where you're only hanging with delinquents. Choosing the pleasant instead of choosing the good. This is often talked about as Shreyas versus Preyas. Shreyas being the good and Preyas being pleasant. Now, I've said that the pleasant is not inherently wrong. And it is not inherently wrong. But our relationship with the pleasant can be exceptionally wrong, where it's all we chase. It's all junk food instead of nutrition, both literally and metaphorically. Chasing junk food in our lives constantly, at every turn, you end up with all of the metaphorical versions of being overweight, diabetic, system breaking down. Instead, it is systemically breaking down when we're only pursuing the pleasant. And this concept is reinforced in chapter 18 of the Gita, where it talks about that which is like nectar in the beginning is like poison in the end. And that which is like poison in the beginning is like nectar in the end. This isn't always the case, but good God, is it a great directional way to approach anything that is pleasant in the beginning, sensual, delicious in the beginning. Too much of it will end up being a poison for us. And things that are hard and difficult, that might not have much of any comfort in the beginning, are uncomfortable. That is where nutrition, strength, self-sufficiency, liberation might be hiding, all in plain sight. Where it tastes like a bitter poison in the beginning, and you're like, I don't know. They say this is good for me, but all I'm seeing is cost. I'm not seeing any of the benefits. Keep with it. Maybe after 3, 4, 5 weeks, you start to see the benefits. Start to recognize this pattern of, that actually sucked in the beginning. And holy shit, it is like nectar now. That routinized approach to working out. It's like being with a best friend. Waking up early to study and reflect before the rest of the world is up and pulling you out of yourself becomes like a best friend. And the first few days might have been extremely difficult. Eating well. Socrates has this quote, "What a shame it is to reach the end of one's life, never having experienced the capacity of the human body." And you can take that a step further and say, what a shame it is to reach the end of one's life, never having experienced not just the strength and the capability of the human body, but the strength and capability of the human mind, of your intellect. What a shame it would be to reach the end of our lives, to accelerate the end of our lives, because we had such a dysfunctional relationship with discomfort, such a dysfunctional relationship with the good, such a dysfunctional relationship with the pleasant.
And that was today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.